Hello everyone, welcome back to A Lot Like Life, and I'm Mridula. And in this video, we're going to talk about 11 tips to make your work from home routine more productive. So the first one on the list is choosing the right workspace. Now, choosing the right workspace has two components. One is finding the right furniture. So what works for you, whether you like working from a chair and a table or a standing desk, whatever works for you and your body, choose that. Now, second is choosing the right environment. While choosing the environment, remember that your mental focus follows your visual focus. So if there are many things in your vision or you're working from a place which has a lot of action going on, you will more likely to be distracted. For example, you have a living room where most of your family gatherings take place and a lot of people come in and go. Avoid using that as your workspace. Choose a room where you will be less likely to be disturbed visually. Now, if you have a space crunch and you cannot choose a different room, then make sure that your workstation is facing a wall, so that while you're working, you are looking at the wall, because there is not going to be a lot of movement there and you will be able to focus on your work more. Now, the second one on the list is follow a routine. Whether you have predefined timings or you define your time by yourself, make sure that you're following a set pattern of work. Do not get into the mindset that if you just log in 1 hour earlier, you can get more done, or you just log off 1 hour late, you can get more done. While these things may help you for 1 or 2 days, in the longer run, it is going to blur the line between a personal and professional space. In addition to it, when we are working from the office, it's very easy for us to distinguish between the closure of our working hours, which is not the same when we're working from home. So in that case, find a physical sign that works for you. For me, it is closing the lid of my laptop. So when I'm done working, I close the lid of my laptop, which physically disconnects me from my workspace and then moves me to my personal space. Similarly, you can create a different kind of physical sign that can work for you. So in that way, it is really easy to transition to that personal space and time and the rest time, which is away from your workstation. Now, the third technique is use time blocks. So time blocks can be very efficient for time management. If you have heard the saying, work extends to fill the time it is allotted. For example, there is an activity that you have to submit by the end of the day. You are most likely to finish it by the end of the day, because we work better when the deadlines are approaching. So what can time blocks do for you? Now, let's say you usually take 15 minutes to check your email. So rather than doing it at any random time of the day, choose a specific set of 15 minutes for your emails. Similarly, divide your time by activity. Decide how much time would an activity approximately take you and decide the time block for the same. Most likely your activities are going to be completed within the time block that you have set for it. In addition to managing your time blocking will also give you an approximate idea of how many hours does it take for you to complete an activity. And then it will be easier for you going forward to be productive and be intentional with your time. Now, the next one is creating a visual or physical task list. So now, when we are working alone by ourselves in the setting of our home, it is very difficult for us to get that completion notification or maybe a closure of an activity. In that case, we are not really able to judge how much of the work we have got done in a given day. To help you with that, you can start creating a task list, which is very physical or visual. After you complete each activity, strike the task list off. So striking off or visually changing the status of any activity that you worked on will make you feel confident about your work, will make you feel accomplished and also productive. Task list is also an efficient way of just looking at things and just seeing how many activities have we given to ourselves. And when you combine task list with time blocking, it is going to make your routine much more efficient. Now, the next thing is to take breaks away from your workstations. So while it may seem harmless to have 15 minutes of lunch at your workstation, but if you observe, you will be on alert all the time while you're at your workstation. But if you take 15 minutes off of your workstation, you will feel refreshed and rejuvenated when you come back to the work. Whether we like it or not, if we are merging our work and our breaks at the same time, we are always on our guard. and we are never really resting during that time. Next is to have boundaries. Again, the emphasis here is to separate your work and your personal life. When you're working from home, it can be difficult for you to separate that access that you give to people when you're not working. So for that, you can also start creating physical boundaries. For example, you can start by closing the door and creating a physical boundary so that your family or your roommates have the idea that you are not to be disturbed during this time. If that is not possible, you can very well use the headphones. Make sure that people are aware that when you're wearing headphones, you're not to be disturbed and you're focusing on something really important. So when you're working on important tasks, it is important to set those boundaries so that you don't lose those precious hours when you're focusing, and also other people can see and respect your time. Next is learning to say no. Since you're working from home and have the most important commodity at your hand, which is time, you can be expected to maybe work for extra hours from your employer, or you may be expected to give your working hours to your friends or family. Make sure that you learn to say no at the right time. Do not overburden yourself or say yes to things just because you can manage the time to do that particular task. And similarly, for the commitments of your friends and family, learn to say no and avoid things which can cost you your working hours. If you want to know different ways of saying no, you can refer to my previous video on this channel. Next point is to dress up. Yes, we are working from home, but we don't have to be in our pajamas all the time. You will feel a subtle shift in your mindset and energy once you start dressing up during your working hours. Next is to respect your personal time. So how can respecting our personal time make us more productive at work? Because you will have ample amount of time which you're spending away from work. So whenever you get back to work, you will be more refreshed. Stop taking your work calls after your working hours. Stop seeing your emails after a certain point. Respect your personal time. If you're spending time with your family, do not entertain work. If you're spending time with yourself and doing nothing, maybe just watching Netflix, avoid taking work calls at your personal time. Next step is to use the right kind of music for your workspace. Because working from home can get mundane, or our work patterns can seem ineffective or unproductive. In that case, try switching up the music. Choose the music you like, or maybe something which has a really fast beat and can get your body working and make your mind feel active at the same time. Last tip is to stay hydrated and to stretch frequently every now and then. Since we are sitting for most of our time, it is important to stretch frequently in between your working hours. A bonus tip could be to keep your workplace clean. Again, it's the same part of mental focus following your visual focus. The less things you can see, the less things you have to focus on. So those were the few tips that have helped me personally and might help you in creating more productivity in your life as well. So if you have any tip that works for you during your routine, let us know in the comment section below. So if you found this video useful, do subscribe to the channel and click the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.